Burkina Faso's young leader is rejecting billions of dollars in foreign aid to gain greater independence for his country from the West. So is he just throwing billions of dollars away, or is this a smart, calculated move that could pay off down the line? Let's talk about it.
These days, I've been coming across so many videos of various white people from all over the world talking about our very own Captain Ibrahim Traore. And I'm like, wait a minute. Did they hear about it from us? Or they are doing their own research? Because it's actually mind-boggling the kind of things they already know about Captain Ibrahim Traore. And I've been thinking to myself, I thought General Langley said, you remember him? Yeah, the US 4-star general, said that Africans have been brainwashed by Ibrahim Traore. Blacks have been brainwashed, and then we keep promoting him and talking so much about him just because we've been brainwashed. So now that the whites are talking about Ibrahim Traore, have they also been brainwashed? If that's the case, then we need to hail Captain Ibrahim Traore for being the greatest hypnotist of the universe.
As an investor, I think that West Africa needs to stay as far away from developmental loans and foreign aid as possible. But why? It's free money to build roads and schools and hospitals and all these great things, right? No, it's not free money, and very little of it goes to help the local economy or build schools or roads or bridges or anything that they say that they're going to do. What it actually is used for is to control West African leaders and have them enter bad trade deals and deals which favor Western special interests instead of West Africa.
So guys, I put a few of the videos together. Now as you watch and get inspired, don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comment section.
Attention to who this man is, because he is inspiring an African revolution against the West right now. This is 37-year-old Ibrahim Traore. He is the second youngest head of state in the world right now, and what his supporters say he represents is simple: African independence. You see, Burkina Faso is a former French colony, and since he became leader of the country in 2022, he has accused France of neocolonialism, which in other words is when a country is still trying to control the other, but now just through more hush means. So when he seized power, he started to make drastic changes. He ordered the French troops to leave the country. He expelled French diplomats and Western media. He banned the use of British and French colonial-style judicial wigs in efforts to decolonize the country's judicial system. And then he started making major changes. He started cutting ties with foreign companies involved in Burkina Faso's infrastructure development, like roads, bus stations, airports, and then started replacing them with locally equipped and trained workers, and then acquired around 1,000 road building machines for them to use. He started introducing policies to boost local control over food production and processing. He started pushing for greater state control over energy, reducing the dependence on foreign suppliers of electricity. And then, in the clearest statement to the West yet, he started buying back a number of the country's major gold mines previously owned by foreign entities. He called the purchases a reclaiming of national wealth from exploitative foreign ownership. But here's where things get crazy, because what started in Burkina Faso has now become something much bigger. They've now joined forces with Mali and Niger to form the alliance of Sahel states, basically saying, we've got each other's backs and we're done with all influence from the West. Ivory Coast and Senegal are now also pushing to remove foreign military bases, and a former Nigerian senator described Traore's actions as the spirit of a continent yearning to be free, dignified, and prosperous. And that is exactly why we're seeing it slowly transition from one country in Africa to Africa as a whole. Because the question that's increasingly being asked is, why is such a resource-rich continent that literally powers the world so poor themselves? Now, here's the problem. We've seen revolutions like this in Africa before, and they haven't ended well. Back in the 1980s, Thomas Sankara led Burkina Faso with almost the exact same vision Traore has now, rejecting foreign aid, nationalizing roads and railways, and calling for true African independence. But just 4 years later, he was assassinated. His policies were reversed, and French firms regained contracts for roads, railways, and ports in Western Africa. So is Traore walking that same path? We don't know. But there are reports that he has survived 19 assassination attempts in 2 years. However, not all those claims have been verified. And it's also important to note that Traore has his critics. Some call him a dictator because he rose to power in a coup. He's postponed elections, he's banned the media, and he's cracked down on dissent, and critics saying no country has ever developed under democracy. So the question is, what do you think? Is this just another dictator grappling for power, or the man to ignite a long-needed change for Africa?
Guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're good, hope you're fine. My name is Philomena and this is Time with Phil. If you're new on the channel, kindly subscribe. And to my returning subscribers, thank you so much. You guys are the real MVPs.
France occupied Burkina Faso for generations. They stole gold and uranium, billions of dollars of resources for pennies on the dollar, while the people of Burkina Faso suffered. But Burkina Faso's new revolutionary leader, Captain Ibrahim Traore, says no more. Traore has kicked out all of the French troops from his country in Africa. He has banned exports of gold to Paris, and he has dropped French as the official language of Burkina Faso. It's a total cultural, political, and economic reset. Now, obviously, French President Emmanuel Macron is kind of upset with all of this. He has made his position known. And President Traore beautifully responded. He said, if anyone is ungrateful, it is him, Emmanuel Macron. France exists today thanks to our ancestors. They should pray for us. And Burkina Faso is making it clear that this is not about some attack on France. This is about independence and sovereignty. Just last week, Burkina Faso's President Traore decided to release 4 French spies who were guilty of attempting to commit a coup against the president, Captain Ibrahim Traore, in 2022. The message is clear. Burkina Faso is not the pawn of France or the Dutch or the United States anymore. But forgiveness is also at the heart of their revolution. Traore says that this is not just a split, it is a revolution with global ripples. I couldn't have said it better myself.
If you do not know who Ibrahim Traore is, you need to look it up. If you don't know the history of Burkina Faso and their leadership, you need to look it up. And look up, while you're at it, other leaders in Africa. Look up the South African leader and how they're speaking. Look up the leaders of Niger and how they're speaking. Look up what's happening in Africa, because it is our own salvation that is in the hands of, or needs to be in the hands of, African leadership, and they're standing up, and we should support that. Let me tell you why. See, our culture is a death-based culture. Our culture has been trying to rule and dominate and control resources that exist in Africa, resources that we need in these northern regions. And so rather than just be a part of humanity and ask for these resources, we have done everything to manipulate and to lie and to cheat and to steal and to harm and to create weaponize and wars in Africa amongst Africans, and do whatever we can to distract and extract and exploit African resources. But the greatest African resource is the humans that live there. And they have a level of humanity that is not in white culture. I speak about it constantly in Race for What. We don't understand that our systems are designed without love in mind, and African leadership and African people have a sense of love that we don't understand how to tap into. It's not that we're not capable of learning it, though. We can. We need to understand this transitional period where the colonial empires are being recognized for how wicked we are, even though they're so far advanced in this game. Yet all of the advancements in technology, all of the advancements in life and understanding and our connection right now that we have on this planet and have access to, if put in the right hands, can actually heal the planet. And therefore our responsibility as those who have been weaponized is to support what is happening in Burkina Faso.
Faso was formerly colonized by France and has an abundance of gold in natural resources. Traore pushed out Western influence, including the mine owners who are French mine owners in Burkina Faso. France wanted to reestablish relations with Burkina Faso. And if you've seen Macron giving a pretty ridiculous speech trying to say one day they'll thank us for helping them, no, they just wanted you to leave them alone. Anyway, Traore said that in order to reestablish relations with France, that France is going to have to return all of the gold that they have stolen from Burkina Faso's mines, and all of this gold that they have is sitting in reserves in France. France is trying to say that that gold is theirs. It comes from mines in France. There are no gold mines in France. So now the US is getting involved. And we can all guess what those claims are going to be. Now we're seeing the claim, oh, he's stealing all the gold for himself and he's not helping his people. Next they're going to be like, we need to bring democracy to Burkina Faso, like those typical things that the US says in order to manufacture consent for invasion and ultimately backing a coup, which I'm sure they have already tried. Them, France, and anybody else who benefits from the gold exploitation of African nations.
Ibrahim Traore, or something. And basically just takes back the country and starts nationalizing all the resources. So does a coup, creates a government, and he's not the leader of it. He's 37 years old.
Fire.
And is just running the country.
Was he a military guy?
He was formerly military.
And then, so how did he get the loyalty of the military?
Basically, he was just like, yo, this is fucked up what they're doing. All these presidents are like Manchurian candidates, siphoning off our resources, leaving our country in squalor. Burkina Faso has like historically the lowest GDP, or like of the lowest GDPs. 40% of the country lives below the poverty line. Everyone's struggling, but they have the fourth most gold of any African country. Just getting crushed. And they're like, what is happening? Why does this keep happening to us? And so then they do a military coup, and then the guy that leads the military coup ends up getting ousted by him. So it's like a coup of a coup.
Oh,
of another coup. Like there's just like all these different coups, and so he eventually gets appointed by like the coup board, and they're basically like, yeah, Ibrahim's gonna run it. And now everyone,
why did the first guy get kicked out? Do you know?
They were unsure of his loyalty, and then also he wasn't going hard enough on the jihadists.
At this point, guys, thank God for social media, especially TikTok, because there's so much information out there about Ibrahim Traore. And the truth is out. We can all see the good works that Ibrahim Traore is doing for his country and by far the continent of Africa. Can you just imagine if there were no medium for us to know what was going on? Do you know the kind of narratives that we might have believed? Even so, with all this information out there, there are some narratives that are being pushed, but we know better because we can see for ourselves. We can interpret for ourselves and we can understand exactly what's going on.
Basically, he's come through and be like, yo, we're nationalizing the gold, we're kicking all the jihadists out, and we're going to make Burkina Faso great again.
What do you think, guys? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!